Hi, I'm Dempsey Palat, and this week I'm reviewing Beef was created by Lee Isaac Chung. It's Netflix's latest buzzworthy series, and it stars Yeun and Ali Wong as two strangers from opposite sides of the social spectrum whose lives become entwined after a road rage accident. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you guys, I was not originally planning to review this series. In fact, I was going to review, and I actually had written a review for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which I thought was, fun, good, despite some pacing issues, so, there you have it. That's my review. Wahoo! And I know that's random, but for reference, I just really want to emphasize the fact that when I started this series about a week ago, I had no idea what to expect. I just pressed play, and I feel like my life has changed. And I know that's a bold statement, but the more that I watched the show, the more it started to sit with me, and the more I started to think about it, and the more I started to love it, and the more I felt compelled to want to talk about it, which is why we're here today. Now, the show's premise is so simple that I could see most people shrugging and maybe not wanting to check it out because it doesn't sound so interesting, and I can't even argue that it's wholly original because I know for a fact there's an early 2000s film with Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson called Changing Lanes. It's a really good movie, actually. If you haven't checked it out, seek it out. It follows the lives of two characters after a car accident, and it leans a lot more into the drama and, social divide. Not to say that this show doesn't lean into those kind of things, but the real beauty and why it's so surprising and why I think it really resonated with me is because of its sneaky execution. Let me explain. At the very beginning, the show establishes itself pretty solidly as a black comedy. Yeun is a struggling businessman who can't seem to manage money. Wong is an uptight housewife who seems very ungrateful for her very luxurious life. On paper, we have more reasons not to care about these people than anything, and for a time it feels like we shouldn't care about them at all. But as each episode goes on, and as we begin to peel back the layers to who they truly are, not only do we come to realize that they're pretty similar to each other, we also start to realize that they're pretty similar to us, too. And that's when you begin to realize that the show is the furthest thing from a comedy. And that's not a spoiler. In fact, I'd argue that as much as you try to predict what's going to happen next, you never will. I cannot tell you how many times I tried to guess what was going to happen next, and not only were my expectations subverted each time, they were completely outdone. And the last 3 episodes are a total testament to that. With each episode being approximately 30 minutes, that last hour and a half arc, especially if you're binge watching it, is just going to blow you away. This is a rare show that not only excites you and touches you, but it also leaves you on the edge of your seat. Another reason I think this show rocks is because, it rocks. Literally. Not only do I think that the show has some of the best needle drops ever, seriously perfect needle drops, but I really admired its very nostalgic song choices. And I know nostalgia is subjective, okay? They were nostalgic for me. They brought me back to simpler times, despite, me obviously not being on Earth for that long. And I'm not saying that the show might impact other age groups or that, it caters to a specific age group. I think people of all ages can watch the show and find something to connect with it, or connect to it, rather. But the way in which I connected to it through the music really kind of made me think more about what it truly means. And I will get to that soon, I promise, but I do want to talk about the show's main assets first. You can't do the show justice without talking about the performances of Yeun and Ali Wong. Having only ever seen Wong in comedic roles, this performance is a wonderful testament to her range. Granted, she still has a lot of funny scenes and moments throughout the series, but it's in the serious ones where she really commands the screen. And that's not to say that Yeun doesn't command the screen. They both do in every episode, but they just do it in different ways. I found that Wong's character was solely defined by her dialogue and her dialogues with some of the other characters. I just love the way in which she talks to people, she reacts to people, she responds to people. There's so many different times over the course of the series where she's having conversations with people while whispering. And that's not saying that a lot of the show is ASMR, but it's the way that she's able to do it and do it so effectively while whispering that is truly captivating, and it really gives you a sense of who she is and how you're always able to understand her, despite the fact that, you know, her character is largely misunderstood. Yeun, on the other hand, is defined by his physicality, and without giving too much away, there's a sequence in episode 3 where he literally doesn't say a single word, yet he still manages to make you understand exactly how he's feeling. Some other things worth noting about the series: the supporting cast is excellent. I half expected this to just be the Steve Yeun, Ali Wong show. Thankfully, I was proven wrong. There are a bunch of minor characters that some, you know, are more minor than others, but for the most part, I would say that Steve Yeun and Ali Wong's characters are Trojan horses into the lives of several other characters and several other difficulties that are being had in this world. And I think one of the best examples is the character of Steve Yeun's brother, Steve Yeun's character's brother. His name, the actor's name is young Mazino. And when we first meet him, you think he's going to be totally insignificant to everything, and that he's only going to be there as like kind of like moral support for his brother, if you can even call it that. But then as the show goes on, you find out he's really integral to the events of, or the after events of the road rage accident. I also thought the cinematography for the show was really good, especially for a TV show, because there were just so many moments, so many shots that I saw that left my jaw in awe. Try saying that 5 times fast. Throughout the series, I was just like, we don't see this on TV. What is going on? It blew my mind, is what I'm trying to say. On top of that, at the start of every episode, we are treated to these paintings with the title overlaid on top. I could be wrong, but my kind of interpretation of that is that they are kind of foreshadowing what we're gonna see, what we should feel, basically telling us something about the show. And I don't know, like at first I didn't kind of understand it, or I didn't get it. I might still not understand it, but like as the show went on, I was kind of excited to see what the next painting would be, what the next piece of art would try to tell me. And it just created this extra layer of connection, of engagement, that I can't really think other series have had. And so I appreciated that. I hate to sound hyperbolic here, but the more I think about the series, the more I'm certain that it's not only one of Netflix's best series to date, but it's legit one of the best series I've ever seen in my life. And to go back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, my interpretation of the show being about simpler times, nostalgia, I'm not saying that the show is about yearning for the past. As the opening artwork indicates, I mean, that's very well a possibility. There's so many different ways to interpret this show, but my biggest takeaway specifically is that this show is about accountability. And obviously not just about taking accountability for your actions, especially in, you know, a road rage accident, but more about taking accountability and re-acknowledging the simple fact that we are all born the same. And there's one episode that actually harkens to this idea, showing our characters as kids unaware of the pain the world has in store for them. That to me solidified why the show is so special and why I was right to keep thinking about it. At the end of the day, this is a show about how you really never know what someone else is going through. I know, it's a cliched expression, but it's one that we forget far too often. And while we don't always have to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, Beef proves that that kind of empathy is truly the only way to move forward. And for that, I'm going to give this series 5 stars.
What'd you say?
Say it again! I dare you to say it again!
Guys, Beef is available to stream exclusively on Netflix right now. Please check it out. I cannot recommend it enough. obviously. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to view this video. It really does mean the world to me. If you like what you see, please hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well for more movie-related content weekly. And yeah, that's pretty much all the time that I have for you guys today. Until next time, I'm Dempsey Palat. Take care.